Ousmane Dembele is the 2025 Ballon d'Or winner. I repeat, Ousmane Dembele is the 2025 Ballon d'Or winner. And this is such a beautiful story of someone who had supreme talent with huge expectations at such an early age. And you know what typically happens when those criteria are put in place, they fall short. And Ousmane Dembele didn't just fall short of those expectations. He really was doubted, forgotten about, and written off completely. You know, and for someone to be so written off, be so doubted, be so forgotten in terms of the esteemed talent in the world, he almost became a what could have been player. Ah, Ousmane Dembele, if it wasn't for his injuries, what could have been? He could have been one of the best in the world. That's how people would speak about him. But this is somebody who blocked out the noise, got to work, and found himself exactly where he was always meant to be, where he always belonged. And that's right at the top of European football. And this Ballon d'Or, it just feels so well deserved. It feels so well deserved. And you saw how much it meant to him in the ceremony. Couldn't hold back those tears. He couldn't. This is what it means when you're going on such a long journey. And everyone, including myself, were giving Usman the praise. We're giving him his congratulations, which he deserves. But we wouldn't have been there in the darkest times, the darkest moments, the lowest moments. People are only there when you're up. You know what I'm saying? And I think that was clear to see in those tears of Ousmane Dembele, and not only his tears, sorry, but his best friend's tears. And he spoke about his best friend. I think his name is Diatta, his surname. And you saw his best friend crying. And the reason why his best friend was crying, I can assume, is because he's been there through the highs and the lows. So to see his boy lifting that Ballon d'Or, you know, that's the type of shit to make a man cry. Excuse the language. That is the type of thing to make a man cry. So it's so beautiful, man. It's so beautiful. And you could really see that, in his acceptance speech. Like, he really didn't want to forget anybody in terms of who he was thanking. Because, again, like, what a journey. What a journey. This is, and I will say it again, this is someone that was completely written off. And let's get to his career. Let's go through his career to actually pinpoint where, how his career was going, how his career fell off up until this point. So, started out in the second team of Rennes in Ligue 1, and that was in 2014 to 2015. And in 2015 to 16, he got promoted to Rennes' first team. And in that season, he got Young Player of the Year in Ligue 1. So already people are seeing his talent off the bat in his first full season in Ligue 1, Young Player of the Season. And off the back of that performance that season, he got a move to Borussia Dortmund, who we know are one of the best clubs in terms of producing young talent, nurturing young talent, giving young players a chance, and giving young players the platform to play at the highest level, because Borussia Dortmund are always in the Champions League in recent years. So, like, what a big move for Ousmane there. He's gone to Borussia Dortmund, and what has he done at Borussia Dortmund? Rookie of the season, team of the season in Bundesliga. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And even in that Borussia Dortmund year in 2016 to 17, he was put in the UEFA Champions League breakthrough 11. So up until this point, up until Borussia Dortmund, his stock is just going like this. You know what I'm saying? This is where people are really looking at Ousmane Dembele. I feel like Borussia Dortmund is when the world really found out about him. And yeah, Borussia Dortmund, everyone was seeing his talent. Everyone was seeing his talent. You know that this guy is a ridiculous technical player. Left foot, right foot, dribbling, speed, composure, close control, like, a phenomenal player. And when you know a player he's got that 5-star weak foot. You know what I'm saying? He had that 5-star weak foot. He still got that 5-star weak foot. And that's, when the player has that type of ability, it's difficult to deny them in terms of how talented they are. And the only two other players, well, I'm sure there's more, but the two players that come to mind when I think about left foot and right foot, it doesn't matter, is Mason Greenwood and Santi Cazorla. These guys, and you just know that these guys are ballers. So Ousmane Dembele is of that same irk. Um, and cool. So he did that, and he had an exceptional season at Borussia Dortmund, and then came the big money move. The big money move to Barcelona. And let me even double check how much he got signed for at Barcelona. Let me just double check that. Ousmane Dembele. How much did Barca pay for Dembele? They paid the total package with add-ons was 145 million euros. The upfront payment was 105 million euros for Ousmane Dembele from Barcelona. So, boy, you can only imagine the expectations that came with that. Unfortunately, Barcelona was where he was doubted, was where he was written off, was where he was forgotten about, largely due to injuries. Largely due to injuries. A lot of people won't know though. He was at Barcelona from 2017 to 2023. A lot of people won't know in 21 to 22, he was the top assist provider. So even when he is on the pitch, you will see glimpses of his brilliance. But unfortunately for him, at Barcelona is when the injuries began. And I've got his injury record here, so I just want to go through it with you guys very briefly. And eesh, it's more than one page. Like, it's actually crazy. And I'll just run through the games that he's missing. So I won't go through each injury, but it's an array of injuries, But missing 24 games, then 7 games, then 5, 6, 7, 7 again, 1, 13, 19, 5, 1, 21, 4, 2, and then 19. All of these were the games that he missed through injury, which is insane. Insane. These are all the games that he missed whilst being injured. And if I even talk about the days rather than the games, you will realize how long he was injured for. So, for example, when he did get the injury, a knee injury that kept him out for 21 games, he was not available for 135 days. So think about the numbers I've said there, and you'll realize how many games he missed for Barcelona. And it's crazy because at Barcelona, he won 3 La Ligas and 2 Supercopa de Españas. But, he won't get no credit for those. And, people will say rightly so because he wasn't really, maybe, Super La Liga fans and Barcelona fans, maybe there were parts that he did contribute to, but everyone just knows his time in Barcelona to be a stint plagued with injuries, plagued with injuries. And then Barcelona called time on Ousmane Dembele in Catalonia, especially having to take that loss because at the end of the day, Barcelona going through their financial troubles. And it was signings like Ousmane Dembele, signings like Philippe Coutinho that got Barcelona in the chiz that they're in financially. but they cut their losses on Dembele losses, and he goes back to France to PSG, and he's been there since 2023 till the present day. And what a transformation! This is the Ousmane Dembele in that PSG jersey. This is the Ousmane Dembele that we all thought he would become. Literally, like he really, it's like, oh wow, like this PSG version of Dembele, this is who he, this is who we thought he was. And you know, the silverware, the trophies, the stats, they all point to this being the case. In the 23-24 season, what did he get? He got top assists. He was in the team of the year for PSG. But let's get to the season just gone, man. PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, first Champions League of their history. Ousmane Dembele being the focal point, the integral point to them winning this trophy, being their talisman almost, you know. And of course, PSG had a great team, but you know, like I say, the stats speak for themselves. In Ligue 1, he got Player of the Year, Team of the Year, joint top goal scorer, and the top assist provider. You know, all-round game at just at the very, very top. And then we get to the Champions League. He's Champions League Team of the Season and Champions League Player of the Season. And in this Ballon d'Or season, in this treble winning season for PSG, he racked up 35 goals with 16 assists, which turns out to be 51 GA in 53 games. What an output from Ousmane Dembele. What an output. And honestly, no one, when he was at Barcelona on his injury bed time and time again, no one would have ever said that this was possible. Nobody. I even saw a meme, an old meme comparing him when Anthony was at Ajax. Oh, who would you prefer, Dembele or Anthony? Like, he was really forgotten about. So for him to get him back to this stage is a beautiful thing, honestly. And let's talk about the Champions League, and I want to specifically talk about the Champions League final. Dark. He really had that dog in him. He was leading that team. Of course, Marquinhos, club captain and a true leader. But in terms of with his work ethic, with his desire to win, you know that meme when is it Jan Sommer in goal for Inter? You know, taking the goal kick and Dembele ready to pounce, ready to press. It's not just about his goals and assists. It's not just about the eye test of watching him being a beautiful player with his dribbling and his talent with both feet, but his desire to do the dog work. And that's the true epitome of a leader on the pitch. And don't forget, Dembele is 28 years old, but we've known about him from such a long time. He's been on the scene since he was a young'un. So he's one of the mature players in this PSG team, and it shows. And it shows. And listen, integral part to all of PSG's successes this season. And wow, just what a player. And I had to touch on this, man. I had to touch on it. Congratulations to Ousmane Dembele, the 2025 Ballon d'Or winner. That man, and you know, you see who he put to the trophy, Lamine Yamal. Lamine Yamal, that guy's a joke. The fact that he's second in the Ballon d'Or at 18 years of age is a joke. The fact that he's won the Copper Trophy, because he was the winner of the Copper Trophy, which is the Golden Boy Trophy, 2 years back to back. And you only just feel with Barcelona winning a domestic treble, you only feel that, you know, It's only a matter of a time before that boy picks up his first Ballon d'Or. And yes, that boy, he is a boy. That boy picks up his first Ballon d'Or. I think it's only a matter of time. Will it be this season or next year, I should say? I mean, time will tell. Time will tell. But I want to also just quickly touch on um, the players 10 to 3. So I got a list of the players from 10 to 3. So Nuno Mendes in 10th place, obviously again integral part of the PSG team. Gianluigi Donnarumma in 9th place, again PSG. Interesting this one, 8th Cole Palmer. And I guess he gets that position off the back of the Conference League win and the Club World Cup win. But I do think that is a bit high for Cole Palmer at this stage in his career, especially considering some of the names that he was ahead of. I feel like some other names deserve to be ahead of a player like Cole Palmer. I would even say Harry Kane, who obviously obliterated Bundesliga with his GA, along with getting his first silverware Bundesliga and a Super Cup. I think a player like Kane should be above a player like Cole Palmer, and there's definitely some others who can therefore have an argument for that also. But of course, Cole Palmer, what a quality footballer, and for him to even be in that top 10 just shows how good he is. And I can only imagine what the future holds for Cole Palmer for sure. Moving on, we got Kylian Mbappe at 7th place. You know, he'll be waiting for his time. He'll be waiting for his time. Must be a bit, not bittersweet. I'm sure he's like super happy for PSG, but for him to leave PSG and PSG get all this success, but I'm sure he's happy for his team, his city, and his friends. But Kylian Mbappe has to wait at least another year for his first Ballon d'Or that he craves so much. Ashraf Hakimi at number 6, and Ashraf Hakimi, along with Nuno Mendes, best fullbacks in the world, in my opinion. Rafinha at number 5, people wanted Rafinha to be a little bit higher up the list because his GA was incredible. He was the top goal scorer in the Champions League as well. So people did feel like Rafinha would want to be a bit higher, but listen, the top 5 for Rafinha, I'm sure he'll take that. Mohamed Salah, number 4, and I do feel like Salah's getting hard done by here. I do feel like Salah should either be third or even second on this list because what he did in the Premier League last season, shooting Liverpool to the title, I know they fell short in other competitions, but boy, what a player. In terms of his GA, what he did last season was ridiculous. And he's been doing it for such a long time now. So I do feel like Mo Salah deserved a podium finish. But now we do get to the podium and we see Vitinha at number 3. And that's reminiscent of, the when Jorginho finished third in the Ballon d'Or. And, Vitinha, he won the Nations League with with Portugal. And obviously he's had all the success with PSG. So shout out to Vitinha. And Vitinha, what a delicate, beautiful player, by the way. Dictates play just under the radar so seamlessly. So shout out to Vitinha. And then you had the top 2. So shout out the top 10, man. Shout out the top 10. I do feel like the overall level, if you look at from 30 to 11, I do feel like Pedri should have also been in this top 10. That's another player I would have put ahead of Cole Palmer for sure. Pedri deserved to be in this top 10 for sure. But shout out my boy Scott McTominay, 18th on the list. Vinny Jr., 16th from second. He won't be too happy about that. But yeah, I think the overall level of footballers in terms of on this Ballon d'Or list in comparison to like 10 years ago, 2015, if you go back another 10 to 2005, I think the golf in quality has dropped massively. But, people will debate what they deem to be quality. But yeah, man. Other winners on the night. Of course, we spoke about Yamal winning the Copa Trophy, but Yashin Award goes to Donnarumma, and I would actually say Donnarumma probably is the best keeper in the world. I know people might say Courtois. I just feel like Courtois, he has been injured in recent years, and his consistency hasn't been all the way there. The other obvious choice is Alisson, but I just think Donnarumma overall, he's got the trophies. He's done it for his country also, and he's just an all-round very, very good keeper. You know what I'm saying? You're even seeing for City now that, you know, he's he's not bad at distributing the ball either. So shout out to Gianluigi Donnarumma. I do think he's gonna excel his career to even another dimension for Manchester City in the Premier League. And then we go to the Johan Cruyff Award, the Coach of the Year, Luis Enrique. Who else? What a phenomenal, phenomenal manager. I believe it was this time 10 years ago, 2015, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, that he did win the treble with Barcelona. Um, and listen, he did it over there. He took the Spain team to a level before he left, ready to win competitions, which they then did the next year in the Euros. And now look what he's done with this PSG team, elevated them to a different level they've never seen before. So shout out Luis Enrique. When your contract is up at PSG, feel free to come to the red side of Manchester. I will welcome you with open arms, no doubt about it. But yeah, man, listen, the Ballon d'Or is done for another year, and congratulations to Ousmane Dembele. Congratulations to Ousmane Dembele. And before I go, actually, Ousmane Dembele is one of 10 players now to win the Ballon d'Or, the World Cup, and the Champions League. And I'll just run through the list of players that have done that. So Bobby Charlton, shout out my boy, you already know, top quality player. Um, Gerd Muller, the Gerd Muller Trophy is um, named after him for being such a prolific goal scorer. Obviously, Viktor Gyokeres did win that for his efforts at Sporting Lisbon last season. Franz Beckenbauer, highly rated as, the best defender of all time. Paolo Rossi, many will forget about him, 1982 World Cup, top scorer, scored a hat-trick against Brazil, Italian legend. Zinedine Zidane, Zizou. I don't need to say much about Zizou, man. You already know. Rivaldo, lifted the Ballon d'Or in 1999. One of the biggest robberies of all time, if you ask me. Shout out the boy Dwight York. And you guys will laugh at me for saying that, but do your research. Do your research. That's all I'm going to say about that. But Rivaldo, what a player. What a player. Integral in Brazil's 2002 World Cup win. Also, Ronaldinho, I ain't got to say much. Kaká, what a player. What a player. One of my favorite players of the generation I grew up in as well. Leo Messi, of course. Nothing to be said there. The most beautiful player of all time, in my opinion. And now Ousmane Dembele. That is the esteemed company that he is with. So shout out to Ousmane Dembele. Congratulations, 2025 Ballon d'Or winner. And you see what it means to him when he brought his mum on stage. His mum saying that we're going to tour the Ballon d'Or around Africa. This is what it means. This is what it means. Congratulations. Until next year for the Ballon d'Or, man. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, people. Hit that subscribe button, get me to 100. And yeah, man, who was your Ballon d'Or winner? Was it Ousmane Dembele? Did you want Lamine Yamal to win it? I'm glad that he didn't, because that guy's too young to just be winning everything. But who was your winner? Was it justified? Do you agree that it should have been Ousmane? What about the other trophies? Do you think those trophies were justified? Do you think there's some people that should be hard done by? Let me know. Put it down in the comments, man. Peace.